What we have to do is to try to make sure that the national organisations which are charged with sort of promoting brand Britain, if you like, the British Council, Visit Britain and others, actually maximise the opportunities that we have. And 2012 is a very good year for the UK, of course, in terms of global media coverage. We've got the Olympics, we've got the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. But I think overall the UK brand remains remarkably strong.
We're talking here about not just branding, but competitive advantage. And one thing never to forget, we feel, is our people. So, you know, many people talk about the client being the first most important aspect of what we do. And the client is very important to us, but we actually put our people at the center of everything we do. One area which I know my colleague over here is going to bring up is CSR, which is an important aspect, but maybe I'll let you.
Okay, well maybe, Krister, you can tell us more about this. This is a subject close to your heart. So CSR, for those who don't know, is corporate social responsibility. ESL have been trailblazing in our industry, really, in terms of educating their partner schools about CSR. So over to you, Krister.
And we definitely believe it makes sense to talk about it when we are emphasizing what would be the competitive advantages of a brand. It is a very complex topic and quite dense topic, but it's a fact that being in the, particularly in the education sector, we do have a responsibility. And this responsibility is not only to make sure the student is picked up at the airport on time, but it's also about making sure their experience is not limited to the language learning, but also beyond. So the CSR, to take it on the idea of the brand, it's about the ethic commitment that a brand has. Today in Western Europe, statistics show that more or less 30% of the population would buy this or that according to its so-called green identity. So as educators, we have this responsibility to raise awareness. And my point to start asking to partner schools what they were doing or thinking about was the start of a raising awareness campaign, because from awareness comes action. And it was about action that I focused those last 2 years by having set up self-assessment tool. It's an online tool that helps schools formalize their own CSR implementation action plan.
And I should also mention that you are going to be starting to publish, aren't you, the results of these self-assessment?
So the active schools, meaning the schools using the self-assessment tool, have a scoring. Those scorings are published in our website, just as another promotional information for the student. And as I said before, participating to my role, which is to raise awareness.
What it seems to me social media is going to do particularly is amplify word of mouth to word of mouth max. And the implication for centres is that you're actually going to have to try to do something which the sector has never been very good at, which is get your alumni, people who've done a course with you, actually to be your ambassadors to promote you.
Yeah. If I can just add to that, I completely agree with what you're saying there. We had an example that our director, Will Archer, used at a conference a couple of years ago of a student coming to a university in the north of England, and one of the first things they did was take photos of their accommodation, post it up onto their social networking site and compare it to a previous place they studied at in their home country to say, look at the difference between these two. And that is the impact that social media is having. Your students are, as you said, becoming your ambassadors. They're showing other people, this is what I'm experiencing.
And the good point about this is that social media can actually be quite cheap. I mean,
yeah.
You have to just create a good product and ensure your students are talking about it, and it doesn't actually necessarily always have to cost a lot to have a good, you have to have a strategy in place. And so that's something you might know about. Have you, I mean, how do you see EC marketing strategies? Have they changed, and do you see them changing continually?
I think there has been a lot of change, yes. I mean, if I look back in the last 4 years, I've seen a huge shift where, you know, we had 0 people employed in this sphere at EC, and today we have about 8 or 9 people employed in this area. The age of lying is over. In the past, big brands could go out there and lie through their teeth, you know, using traditional media like newspapers, magazines, TV. Today, that's completely over. Today, clients are talking about us, and they're saying exactly what they love and hate about our brands. You know, we have to be monitoring what people are saying, because the worst thing is if people are out there either foul-mouthing or even saying good things about your brand and you're not aware of it.
Do you have a sort of brand ethos that you think sums up EC?
Look, I mean, I'm not going to market to my competitors, but I mean, there are many things that we do very well, I think. But the one thing we feel makes us unique is what we call our core values. And this for us is very important, and there's no big secrets. It's up on our website if you want to go and have a look at it, is that when we come to recruit people, we're not recruiting based on skills. So when we're looking for a marketing manager, we're not just looking for, you know, what their marketing background is, whether they've got an MBA or a master's in marketing. We're looking first to see that they fit our core values. And if they do, then we recruit them. So we're recruiting people for attitudes rather than for aptitudes.
If you want to be world class, you can't have a narrow one nation experience anymore. If you look at world class higher education institutions, London School of Economics, for example, is 70% non-UK students. Harvard is similar. And you've got to be world class, you've got to have world experience. And that really should be the pitch, that if you want to be a top class student, you cannot just rely on studying in one country, in one language anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I was telling Tony before we started, there's a story which went up yesterday on our website about Megan Fox. So if you don't know who she is, she's a Hollywood sex symbol. And she's now promoting English.
I think she might object to that. She thinks she's an actress. Sure.
Anyway, she's promoting English language learning in Brazil. She's actually filmed an advert with Mike Tyson. And these students arrive on Megan Fox Island and they can't speak English, so they get sent off. But I mean, that's another interesting idea of how you can try and encourage people to think that they have to be a world-class citizen with global language skills. What did you think about that question?
I would love to see a great feature-length, blockbuster Hollywood movie about our industry. I mean, we all know how many stories there are in our industry, which could make great Hollywood, material. But I mean, if we had to get something out there, and you get this going around the world, being seen by hundreds of millions of people, it creates knowledge and understanding about our industry, and maybe an aspiration to go and try it out. So I'd love to see something like that. I think we also need to be looking at using more celebrities to give endorsements on the industry through their own real experiences. We have experience with this. We recently took the captain of the Corinthians, which is like the Manchester United of Brazil, and he came and studied at our school in London and in Malta for about 6 months. And I mean, he went back and loved it. This guy has 150,000 people following his blog, and he's a celebrity in Brazil. So, I mean, I think we need to be getting more and more celebrities, putting a highlight on our industry. In terms of expansion, I mean, I have 3 words for you about expansion. China, China, China. And I know that right now we're limited by visas, but I mean, how many of you in this room actually believe that in 10 years' time, Chinese people will not be able to come on pure language travel programs? I mean, if we believe that, then, we might as well close shop. I believe that eventually China will open its doors. And, if we think that Korea was a big market, can you imagine how big China will be?
Thank you. And Krister?
Well, very interesting points highlighted by Andrew, and I fully agree with all of them. It would be lovely to see a Megan Fox in a British host family or something. The experience is the key. From an agency's perspective, of course, it's language. Of course, it can be manifested into achieving a score on your official certificate, etc. But it's the experience what we are selling, what we are here to brand and to spread the word.